Everyone is there, and we have our MC, Michelle. And let me see if I can bring in our speaker tonight. We might have two. I'll check and see if that's what they want to do. But welcome everyone to Global Harmony House, our insight session, and hoping that you are well and wonderful and ready for a great evening. So, Sister Michelle, will you take us away?
I will, Brother Eric. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone once again to our Thursday's Insightful Conversations. And for those who come every week, happy to see you again. And for newcomers, welcome. Tonight, well, for the theme for April is living peacefully and happily with yourself. And that's the focus for us. Every Thursday evening, we give insight and tools, if you will, to help you lead a happier and a more fulfilled life and a spiritual life. Tonight, our topic is discard self-criticism and take on self-value. And that's a very important discussion or conversation, if you will. And hopefully it will be a conversation that you will put your questions and comments throughout the evening in the chat. So our speakers, we have two wonderful speakers, will speak to your questions. So tonight's discussion, we talk about, and I have it myself sometime, there are moments, or it could be longer term, where you have feelings of unworthiness. You feel like you're not you're a failure, you're not good enough. Well, what would happen if you turn that around and realize that you are loved, that you can acknowledge your qualities and your strengths and show that to the world? That's the discussion today. There are going to be tools and creative ways to transform that, sometimes that self-doubt, and make yourself to listen to that inner voice and recognize that you are a loving, caring, and compassionate person. Tonight, as Brother Eric said, we have two presenters. We're fortunate enough to have two presenters. A wonderful speaker, Sandhya, Sister Sandhya. How are you? We're really in for a treat tonight. Sister is an IT professional who enjoys creative workshops. I know that because I've attended quite a few, and sessions on the application of spiritual principles to worldly knowledge. She will then be followed by Raj Samgan Reddy, who is a clinical safety systems director at a contract research organization. And he also loves to teach, and his passion is to help people and find their footing in life and career. We are in for a very special evening. Welcome, Sandhya. So wonderful to see you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Michelle. Om Shanti. Can you all hear me? Yeah, okay.
Yes, you're great.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Michelle, for the introduction. And I regret to say Raj will not be able to join us today.
I'm sorry.
He has been a little unwell for a few days. And this topic actually, I think, suits him much better than me. Because in many times in my life, he has been the source of inspiration, that encouragement that you need at those moments, right? When you have these down moments. And we all have them in our life, just like Michelle was saying. But I was looking at this topic, right? And it says moving from a feeling of unworthiness and failure and guilt to a feeling of acknowledging your qualities and strengths. I was wondering if it is really that we have to move from here to there, or we have to wonder how we moved from a place of strength and quality and greatness to a place of unworthiness and failure and guilt. How and when did this happen, right? So if it's possible for you during this session, I would suggest that you have a pen and a paper if you don't already have it. We will do a little exercise here and there. Mostly you'll be okay, but once in a while, if you need to write down something or you want to answers on something that I am talking about, it will be good to have a pen and a paper. So take a minute. If you don't have it, make sure you get one. So when I was wondering about how we moved from being these beautiful beings into this space where we are in darkness, and I especially was taken by that sentence where there is pain in the heart and there is darkness in the mind. So I was reminded of a story, probably most of you have heard of it. It's the fable of the eagle and the chicken. Many of you may have heard it, right? They talk about a story when a chicken farmer, he has a little co-op farm of all the chickens. And one day they say an eagle, a small one, it just fell off the nest and it fell into this farm. So the farmer, he just picks up the eagle and he raises him along with the other chicken in his farm. So the eagle, because he's growing up with the chickens, that's all he sees in his life. So he keeps living like he's a chicken and he believes that he's one of them. So one day a man comes by. There is the story around going on that there is an eagle living with chickens. So he comes to see. And he really does find that this eagle is among the chickens. So he's very surprised to see that the eagle acts exactly like the chickens do. So he goes and talks to the farmer. And the farmer says, this bird is no longer an eagle. He has been raised with chickens and he's trained to be a chicken. And he actually believes he's a chicken. So the man tries. He tries to take the eagle to the top of the farmhouse and let it go from there. The eagle drops to the ground and starts again going around with the chicken. The next day, the man comes back again. The farmer says, I told you, he's a chicken. He's not an eagle anymore. So the naturalist says, the guy says, let me try one more time. So he takes the bird up a mountain in his vehicle. And up from that mountain, he lets go of that bird. What do you think happened? When he lets go of the bird, it's eagle, right? It's the king of the skies. It just opens up its wings and it starts flying. Sometimes I think our life has become like that. I believe if our minds were always like this, we wouldn't even have started off. How did we get here? So let's take a look, right? We're going to do it in 3 simple steps. We're first going to look at our mind and say, what exactly is happening here? Do I even realize what's going on inside of me? Okay, so you all know your mind, right? Unless the mind has a focus, it has a tendency to rewind into the past. And when it rewinds into the past, it's basically doing self-analysis. How many times we go back, right? Something happens and we say, oh, I should not have done it this way. It should not have been like this. I should have said this. Constantly go back and we are trying to fix things inside of us. I should have said it this way. It could have been like that. I should not have said that. If only, if only, if only, right? This goes on in our mind all the time. Have you all noticed this? in case you've not noticed, you will see that there is a constant mental dialogue going on inside of our heads. And it never stops. It just keeps on going and going. Have you ever wondered, why does it talk? And you know, funny thing, how does it decide what to say and when to say it? Does what it say, is that true? Is it even important? But it keeps talking and it changes position constantly. Right now, I might be sitting here thinking, oh, this person, this, that. And then suddenly that person comes in front of me and says, sorry, I turned the whole thing around. So it's very finicky. 1 minute it's this way, 1 minute it's that way. And one of the most important thing is that what we talked about, the pain in the heart, right? So how dysfunctional and chaotic should our world be? There are 7.5 plus billion of us human beings, right? And we're all resonating hurt and pain and sorrow and negative feelings towards our own self. Where is this problem, right? It's beginning at the core, which is, it's not about anyone else. It is just me and my mind. There's no one else. This is my inner world. Who do I spend the most time with? Even if you have a spouse and a family, whatever it is, right? The person we spend the most time with is not anyone else, it's myself. And if you take a little time to observe your mind, you will see this, that it doesn't stop. It never stops. Let's take a minute now, right? Just take a minute. Don't do anything. You don't have to think. Just stop and watch. You know, if I stop for a few more moments now, your mind will say, how much longer? How much longer is she just going to stay there? It's not talking. Imagine you have a roommate who never stopped talking. What will you do? And everything she or he says is negative and painful. What will you do? You'll walk away from that, right? I'll find another roommate, or maybe I'll just pay more and live alone, but I just need peace of mind. But here we are, we have a roommate. He's within ourselves and we are locked with him or her, whoever it is. And this is for life. So whether we like it or not, it is the best to set this right, to set the course right. Yeah. So you just did this little experiment, right, of watching yourself. Just notice. When you notice yourself, you will see there is a constant chatter. So I have a simple question for you, right? Who is talking? And who is hearing? Right? If I am the one hearing the chatter, then the one who's chatting is not me. I am the one who's hearing it, right? I am the one who's noticing the talk. So on the spiritual path, this is the first thing we need to understand. If I want true growth, I have to first realize that I am not this voice in my mind. I am the one who hears it. I am the one who notices it. So I am different from my mind. I am separate from my mind. This is the way out. This is the beginning of the way out. Many times, what we see as problems in the world, they're not generally problems of the world. The real problem, if we look inside, is there is something inside of us that needs to shift. So in a physical way, when we have a problem, we're always looking on the outside to see what would be the solution for it. But in a spiritual way, you look inside to see what exactly is happening. And we have to break this habit of thinking somehow, if there is a person I have a problem with and he says these kind of things, oh, that is the problem. If I remove this person from my life, everything will be okay. Or if I remove this situation, I leave this job, I'll be okay. What we find is, at least this is my experience, if you leave one job because you don't like your manager and you go to another job, somehow you will find that same kind of person right here. It's like they're following you. So the only permanent solution is to change things from the inside. And the way to change that, the first secret is to know I am not my mind. I am not the voice that speaks inside of me. You may think, oh, that's a small thing. Okay, I know that. That's my mind and this is me. But it's a really big thing. Because if I'm not my mind, I don't have to accept or listen to what it says. This is not trivial, because in most of the situations, if you observe yourself, you will see that you accept anything your mind says, however obnoxious it is. With anyone else, you will say, when they give you bad advice, when someone gives you bad advice, you never go back to that person, right? Because they give you bad advice. But our mind, even when it gives us really bad advice, we go back to it again and again. So my first check, how do I know that this inner critic within me is at work? How would I know that? Because not all of us keep looking at what we are thinking, right? The easiest way to recognize that this inner critic within us is at work is to do a simple check. At any moment of time, if I don't feel happy, if I don't feel completely energetic, enthusiastic, or inspired, something is weighing us down. That means he's at work. It kind of makes us a little tired. It's like, I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like trying anything new. I don't care. I'm not interested, right? These are all symptoms of the inner critic. And what is the root of this inner critic? If any one of you have had a chance to think about it, it is fear. Two emotions that basically drive or energize the inner critic is fear and insecurity. We'll talk about it a little more, but let's kind of evaluate ourselves, right? Take a pen and a paper if you have it. And I'm going to make a statement, and you just have to write what percentage is it true for you from 0 to 100? If I make a statement and it is 100% true for you, you would just say 100. And if it's not true at all, you would say 0. Okay? You have your pen and paper. So the first statement is, I love myself. So you can write down anything from 0 to 100. The second one, I know myself. Take your time. Third one, I feel blessed. I am valuable. Fourth one, I'm valuable. And the last, I feel lovable and I let people love me. So check yourself. Did you get 500%? Yeah, probably not, right? At least I haven't. In the exercise that I have done, I have never seen anyone get a 500%. And if you look at the questions, it has nothing to do with anyone else. It's just you with yourself, right? I love myself. What is stopping you from loving yourself? Right? What is stopping me believing that I am valuable or blessed? This is where the mind plays the game. So this transformation that we are talking about, right, of the mind, we call this healing. Just like physical diseases, this state of mind, where I'm constantly in some kind of pain, insecurity, fear, it's a kind of a state of a disease. And when we talk about healing, we're talking about a state of freedom, that you're free to love yourself. You're free to feel blessed and valuable and lovable. That means you have to free yourself from the past, from the burdens, from all that self-analysis, no? Of I am like this, I shouldn't be like this, I shouldn't be doing like. From that, you're stepping into a state of spiritual beauty. Knowing what my worth is, knowing who I am. This is what we call healing. And although I am saying it's the healing of the mind, it's also the healing of the heart. That's why I like when it says it's the darkness of the heart, right? Or the pain of the heart. Because it's the healing of the heart and mind that are connected. And this spiritual, any spiritual journey is about moving into the state of healing. So how do I make this journey? How do I move from where I think I am not worthy, that I'm a failure and I have all this guilt? How do I move from there and let this little bud inside of me, of my qualities, my strengths, my specialities to shine. So we'll just play with it a little. We'll look at it a little more. You're ready for it? Okay. So just reflect on this simple question. Am I happy with where my mind is right now? Not the state of my mind, but where it is. That means, what is it remembering? Check for a moment. What are you remembering right now? Because what is in the mind is very connected to what you are remembering. When you connect to a person, that means you're remembering the person, or you remember a situation, or you remind yourself of a memory, something that has happened, immediately you're influenced by what you are remembering. That means it comes into your mind, and automatically there is a feeling in the mind that is connected to what you're remembering. And all of this happens within a moment. We won't even realize this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. But you remember a situation, for a minute you go into the past. Something that happened when you were 5 years old on your birthday. Whatever happened at that moment, right? Stored in here, it comes automatically, and I'm going to feel, I may be 60 years old now, but I'm going to feel like that day when I was 5 years old and I was at that moment. So the quality of our life, how I feel, how I experience life, depends on the feelings in my mind. And the feelings in my mind are all dependent on what I connect to, what I remember. If right now at this moment, you can experiment with this, you remember someone or something you like very much. And mostly when we do this in person, right, where I can see all of you, I can't see all of you, just like you can see only one me, right? Even I can see only Michelle. And but when you remember someone or something you love, whether you like it or not, on your face there is a smile that comes. It's automatically, you can see that on the face. In the same way, when you remember someone you don't like, or with whom you've had a negative interaction, there is a feeling created in the mind that's negative. And you will automatically start seeing that the smile disappears and the face comes together, because the vibrations in the mind have changed. Right? When you're about to do something, like let's take the example. If I'm supposed to do this session, and just before doing the session, I remember, last time when I was doing this, I didn't remember what I had to say. I failed. Immediately that nervousness comes inside. Then I become scared. Now, even if I know what I'm going to speak about, I will become nervous. It's a game that the mind plays. Whatever you remember, whatever you're connecting to, that is the experience of the moment. So what I remember at any moment creates the experience of my life. So then I will ask you this question. Who do you think creates the experience of my life? I do, right? I have this choice of who I remember, what I connect to. And that's the kind of experience I create in my life. Let's take an example, right? If you plug something into an electrical socket, what do you get? If it's a 110 socket, you will get 110 volts, right? If it's 220, like it's in India or I think Britain, then you get 220 volts. And if the earthing is not right, what you get? You get a shock, right? Same way when you click on a website and you want to download data. You can download something interesting, something informative. Sometimes you may even end up downloading a virus. Many times we don't even know we downloaded a virus, right? And what happens when you download a virus? It creates havoc in the computer, right? So remembering is very, very similar. Whatever you remember, the energy of that moment, the energy of that person, of that situation is downloaded into us. And that's what we will live for that moment, knowingly or unknowingly. So anytime if I am not feeling good, if I'm not feeling happy, the question I have to ask myself is not why am I not happy? I have to ask myself, what am I remembering? Where is my connection? You know, if you got a virus, you'll say, which website did I go to? Where did I get that virus from? And that's a website you're going to avoid, right, in the future. In the same way, I have to ask myself, what was I remembering? How did I get myself here? Because what I connect with, whatever that vibration is what is downloaded into my mind. So if my mind is connected to wrong people, wrong behaviors, wrong situations, I keep downloading low vibrations, negative vibrations. How many of us, you know, that you remember the time when people used to watch news and like, I can't watch news anymore. I just can't watch news because it was just so toxic, right? And it's just news, but the news was toxic. It brings the vibration of our energy very, very low. In the same way, now this is what is happening and things like that, right? But when I connect to my past, my own shortcomings, right? Oh, I did this in the past, I failed in this, I couldn't get this done. These also create very low vibrations in my mind. When I have low vibrations in my mind, I start feeling low. That's why we call them low vibrations. The energy is low. And when the energy is low, you don't feel like doing anything. Basically, that's what it is. It's like, I don't have the energy to do anything. Can you do the session? No, I can't. Can you attend the session? No, I can't. Can you do the work? No, you can't do anything because the energy of the soul becomes very low. So then the question would be, what do you want to connect to, right? These are some simple checks we need to do within ourselves. If I remember anything that brings my energy down, what do I have to do? I have to stop myself right there. You all must have heard the story, right, of the Indian Cherokee and his grandson. You all heard it, right? It's a very common, well-known story. So the grandfather says, within my mind, there are two wolves who are constantly fighting. One stands for the good, for all the strengths, for all the greatness. And the other one stands for all my weaknesses, everything that's negative. All. So the grandchild asks, which one will win? Which wolf will win? Which one? The one that you feed, right? So anytime when you remember anything that brings your energy down, I have to stop immediately. That means I have to distract myself. Go for a walk. Simple things, just stop and go. Go get a drink of water, walk around, do something. Something even physically that will change the energy. Don't dwell on it. We have this tendency to dwell on it. That's why I'm making this specifically the statement, right? Try and give yourself encouraging words. If you have to do something, don't be fearful of failing. This is the second thing. The inner critique, he feeds from our fear and insecurity. So fear of failure is the next thing. So tell yourself, I will do my best, whatever happens, and I will move forward. But the best thing to do, and this is the path of the Brahma Kumaris, and you know this, even in the beginning, the meditation was like that, right? If I can remember and connect to my original self, beyond the mind, because I am a source of peace, love, and purity. This is my original energy. If I can remind myself of this, and if I can connect to that energy beyond what the mind says, it will be a source of strength. And the second part of what we teach at the Brahma Kumaris, as most of you already know, is to connect to the source of peace, love, and purity. We call him God, the one, the highest source. God is the epitome of all goodness that exists in the world. So when I connect to God, what streams into my mind is his energy. It becomes the source to sustain my peace, love, and purity. So in simple words, what I would suggest, first thing, pay attention to what you remember. Second, remember that whatever you remember will influence you, good or bad. Don't let that subtle thread of the mind go in the wrong direction. The third thing, what I remember will influence me and it will create a vibration. And so the sacred space of my mind is changed. Yeah. Another set of things. If something has happened and it is in the past, put a full stop to it. Leave it in the past. Don't bring it up again and again. You know, in Hindi, in the Indian language, past is called bhutkal. And that word bhut has two meanings. It means past. It also means ghost. Because if you look at it, right, the past doesn't exist anywhere. Where does it exist? The past means it's gone, right? It doesn't exist. So where does it exist? Only in my mind, right? That is why it's called the ghost. Past, ghost. It's the same word. So don't keep going back into the past. Put a full stop to the past. And don't keep processing who did what, why did they do that. This is about others. There is a very interesting story in Hindu mythology about looking at others' weaknesses. You know, they talk about those two brothers. They're equally powerful, equally talented, everything equal. One of them stands for righteousness, the other stands for unrighteousness. The negative. One is on the positive, one is on the negative. They say the brother who stands for unrighteousness, he has a special power. What is his power? If you stand in front of him and fight him, he will get half your strength. So basically, you can never win him. However strong you are, you can never win him. Because when you stand in front of him, he gets half your power. So they show in the story that the person who needed to kill the brother, he doesn't do it from the front. He does it from behind, hidden in a bush. I'll tell you the whole story another time probably, but the idea is negative forces are very powerful. Like you can't fight anger with anger. If you see negativity in others, the minute you see them, it has already entered you. So it's like a virus. So as much as possible, let everyone take care of what they are doing. Why did they do this? Why did they do this? Leave this alone, because it will spoil our state of mind. Third, don't let time go waste. Use every moment that you have, because you all know this saying, right? Idle mind is the devil's workshop. So it's very important to keep the mind busy and involved all the time. That's the best way to keep it going. Even when we have children, right, and we have to get things done, what do we do with the children? We keep them busy with something or the other, and then they don't disturb us. If you say, oh, don't come near me, I'm very, very busy, that's exactly where they will come. So even for the mind, it's very important to keep it busy. The busier it is, the easier it is to manage the mind. Fourth, don't forget things that you have done well. Every time you do something right, pat yourself in the back. Very good. Very good. You've done very well. Because we forget it, right? We have a tendency to remember things that have gone wrong, things that we haven't done well. But we tend to forget the ones we have done well. So we can notice what our specialities are, what things we know well. Fifth, always start your day with time for yourself, for positive reinforcements. Six, try and do something good for someone else. Because when you do good, you're creating memories that you can go back to, that will create good vibrations within you. Try and do something good every day. 7, try and be selfless. You know, there is this, the mind troubles those people the most who are the most self-centered. It's all about me. It's all about me. The more and more the mind troubles you, because the more you give, the more it wants. The most beautiful way to manage the mind is try and be selfless. Do something for someone. Completely selflessly, not expecting anything. And you will see, you actually end up giving yourself happiness. You know, there was a research that was done and about happiness. And I won't go into the whole of it, but what they found was the ones who served others, even if they didn't have anything, if they helped others, they were the ones who were the happiest. Last but not the least, Put your time into creating the kind of memories that you would want to keep. So do actions that you want to do and you want to remember. Because in the end, who is going to protect me? The only thing that can protect me is the quality of my own mind, of my own consciousness. So I have to pay attention to always remember where my mind is going. I have to keep a tab on that. Where are you going? Just like you would do with kids, right? Keep a tab on where the mind is going. Because where it goes is what I am going to download into my experience. Om Shanti.
Well, thank you so much. First, let me just say, I hope Raj is on the mend and we all send him very good healing vibrations. We tell him we missed him and we hope to have him back soon with you. We want you both back together, but you certainly were able to carry the evening. You know, I can only imagine with Raj, but you were sensational. The comments already have been incredible. There's a lot of chat, if you will. So we have a few questions. Just want to tell you, I took so many notes, but you answered all my questions before, one by one. When you ticked through every question I had, you ticked through and got them. But there are some questions out there. Some of them I think you've already spoken to about how to forget things from the past. I think that was already covered, but if you want, we can go over it again. I think you said you have to put a stop to it, right? This is the first time when I studied the Brahma Kumaris. Full stop is the first time I heard of it with the Brahma Kumaris. It's a very important tool. You can't stop yourself from thinking thoughts. And if I can say, there are things, if you ruminate and spin in your mind, you can. It's a practice. You can put a full stop to it and it goes away. If you could just go over quickly how to forget things from the past, a couple of quick tools, Sister Sandhya.
So the first thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When things have happened in your life, it's not as if you can eliminate or eradicate them. Oh, it never happened. It's not denial. It has happened, whatever it is. But the idea is not to wallow in it over and over again, going back to the same thing. Because remember the story I told you, right? Be it a memory or a person or anything, you keep going back to it, you're giving it energy. Anything in your life, like let's say you have fear. Fear in itself has no life. Does it have any energy? It doesn't. Fear takes energy from me. So the more I remember it and the more I connect to it, the more energy it gets from me. So anything of the past, you know, Dadi Janki, I think who was our administrative head, was, how would you say, she was the expert at this. You know, Dadi would remember beautiful incidents that happened 60 years ago, 70 years ago, and she would narrate to all of us. So everyone would ask her, Dadi, how do you remember all this? She says, what do you think I'm doing all day? I am making sure I keep in my safe all the memories that I want to remember. And it's automatically eradicating the other things I don't want to remember. I don't want to give it energy. You keep yourself busy with the things you like, with the things you enjoy, with the things that give you energy. This is the practice we have to learn. You understand? When you don't give it energy, it automatically relegates into the past. First and foremost, you give energy to that which you want to give energy to.
There are a lot of comments in the chat thanking you for the many tools you have given us, but there's another question, and this is something that might be relevant to the time because, as you say, there's a lot of news out there. It looks like there's well, I don't have to say it looks like there's a lot of unrest in the world every day. And I know for myself, I watch a lot less television and news than I used to. I used to be politician. That was my transfusion, if you will. I had to know what was going on at all times because I could be in the news. I don't want to be in the news. So you had to know. I've definitely cut down. But in fairness, there is unrest. One of the questions was, how do I control myself in an unpeaceful situation? Something you're in the midst of something that is, and this happens in a time of unrest and unpeaceful situation. How does that person control themselves?
So if it is a situation in which you can do something, or you need to do something, like Michelle was saying, she was in politics. So if you are in a position where you need to do something, see what is possible and what you can do, because it's important to take the right kind of actions. But if it is not something you have any responsibility about, and you're just sitting here worrying about something that's happening out there, the best thing to do would be to first take care of what needs to be taken care of in our life. See, one of the things, like we have the pandemic now, right? Many people worry about the pandemic. And I always think one of the biggest thing about this is the news. They keep telling us, oh, in India, there are so many cases, in Brazil. So there is this sense of fear when you don't know how to process the information correctly. There is this sense of fear. What is happening in the world? What is happening in the world? So Sister Moini, who is our director here in the US, our president of the organization, she always tells us, start local. Where you are, if there is something you can do to help, do it. Don't sit and worry about the whole world. Start small, start where you are right now. Because sometimes we have to take action because it makes us feel good, right? So make sure you're taking all the precautions. Make sure you're doing all the right things. Oh, if no one else takes precaution, what will happen? Don't wallow in those. There are many things in life that are not in our control. Instead of worrying about those, the first thing to do would be to take care of that things which is in our hands. And what is in our hand? First and foremost, my mind. What are the things I can take action about? Take those actions. Whatever you need to do, do all the right things, do all the right preparations. But don't go on worrying about the future. Trust that if you do the right things in the present, you will have the strength to deal with the future as it comes.
Beautiful.
I hope
So,
that helps.
that was spot on. Question, another question, and we get this, this is a question that we hear over and over again because it happens. I had it just the other day. I dealt with it last Thursday. I think at one of the classes with Sister Rona, she gave me the answer. It was very similar. What do you do if someone tells me a negative thing? How do I remain happy in a situation like that, in a hard or sad situation? If someone tells me something negative, you know, what do I do when someone tells me that? I can tell you what I did, but you tell me what.
Tell us what you did.
Well, I had this similar question. I kind of knew the answer from the Murli. You know, we do the morning Murli, and interestingly enough, when I had that feeling, Baba, God always comes in, and that morning I had the perfect answer from God, and He said, "Go back to that person." In my mind, I knew what to do. Go back to that person and say something lovely and wonderful to them, even though I was hurt. Turn it around and say, you know, she felt I wronged her. Well, I wrote her back that I'm so sorry that you felt that way. That was not my intention. I will do my best to make sure you don't feel that way. You know, I will be, you know, I want to do that again. And I'm so sorry and I love you. And she wrote back, you don't have to apologize. You know, she wrote such a very, almost a nasty thing. You don't have to apologize. I'm so grateful for your note. And then she had a conversation this is a work situation. And then ironically, well, not ironically, the next day someone said, you know, she was talking about you, how well you're doing at work, how much she enjoys working with you. So I'm laughing because it seems so difficult. My first reaction is to stiffen up, you know, why is she doing this? What did I do? But then I relaxed. I said, no, I'm not going to stiffen up. I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to take that obstacle and go through that obstacle and show her and really mean it, that I feel sorry. I thought about it, I meditated on it, and it turned around beautifully, beautifully. So that's how that's my answer. Now you give your answer.
So many a time when someone says something, we think it's personal, it's something about me. Many a time, it really is about their state of mind.
About them. Mm-hmm.
They are coming from a state of fear or insecurity. There is something going on in their own life from which they're expressing this. It really is not about us. So many a time, it's good to not take it personally, if it is possible. First thing. Second, try and turn it around. If it is a comment that you can turn around and make it valuable for you, because sometimes some things that people say, although we think is negative, it's actually a good comment. If one of you were to say, well, Sister Sandhya, this wasn't right, if you had done it this way, it would be a comment that would actually help me. So can I, instead of taking it personally and saying, oh, they are hurting me, can I turn it around and see what value is there in that? If there is, can I use it in my life? The third thing that's possible, because each one of us deal with things differently, make it funny, make it light, make it easy. It's okay. Just make it light. And I know one brother, many know him. He had this very special ability. You can take anything around him and he would just turn it around and make it completely humorous and walk away from it. When does it become a weight for us is that we take what they say, we don't respond, we don't do anything, and then we carry this weight with us all along. Oh my God, they said this, they said this, they said this. Instead, finish it right there. If you have to answer, finish it, but don't take it with you. Everything and anything that needs to be handled right there and finished. If you can do that, you will not carry a weight with yourself, either for yourself or for the other with the comment. Try and see if any of these will possibly work for you.
Very good. We have 2 more questions we're going to try because the hour is getting late. I think one of them is how to remain happy in any situation. So I will say for myself, sometimes I don't want to be happy in every situation. I think I make it like a game that sometimes, like you said, sometimes I do better when I'm not always happy. When I'm happy, I don't grow. I'm still a baby at this. I need some time that thing to wake me up so I can continue to grow. I think because I'm a toddler at this, I call myself a toddler. I've been studying for about 4 years. So I still have a lot if I'm always calm and happy, it's when I have that obstacle that I can feel myself grow. Like even when that response to me, that email from work, but I learned from that. And then I was happy afterwards because I grew at that moment and I was so happy afterwards, even before she responded. So sometimes I like the mix. I don't know if that's okay, but an answer, can you be happy in every situation? For me, I think I like the mix. It's my life interesting.
So the way I understand it, Happy is a state of mind where there is no disturbance. It doesn't mean this happy, oh, I'm running around everywhere and flying, not like that. But there isn't a state of disturbance inside. There is a pleasantness inside of me. When a disturbance comes, and it does happen, right? I like the idea, like Michelle was saying. When a disturbance comes, the first thing we are taught on the spiritual path is that we don't look outside to say who caused this disturbance, why did they cause it, what is happening. We look inside to see, okay, the person said something, but it caused a disturbance within me. Why? What is inside me that's causing this disturbance? When I'm able to look there, I'm able to find what is wrong, and I'm able to at least find a way to fix it. Like in a way, what Michelle was saying. But for example, right, if I fall on the ground and I hurt my knee, it's expected. But if I have real pain in the knee, I have to look to see there is something wrong there. Did I bruise? Did I hurt something? And that's the part I have to heal. You can't be angry with the ground, can you? That you fell on the ground and it hurt you. You have to heal yourself. It's the same thing in the mind. You have to look to see what needs healing. And some of these things, I like the way Michelle said it too. They are good for these things to come up, because when they don't come up, they are inside and we are not aware. And when we are not aware, we cannot handle them. But the point to remember, which I think is the most important, is that you should not be afraid. If you get scared, then you've lost the battle even before you start. When they come up, you should have the courage to look within to see what caused it. And in my own life, some of the biggest disturbances in my life have been my biggest teachers. I would never be who I am today if it were not for those happenings in my life. So they come because they are showing you something. If there is pain in any part of your body, you know that there is something not right there that needs to be looked at, that needs to be treated, right? So when there is pain on the inside, that means there is something inside that needs to be treated, that needs to be taken care of. So you look to see what it is and work with it.
And when you overcome that obstacle, the feeling, the taste of victory is sweeter than if you didn't. You know, that's how I felt so good. I still feel good, and I'm going to have that memory of that sweet victory again when it poses itself again. And that victory was I took a victory lap afterwards. It was such a wonderful feeling. So one more question, I think, and hopefully I read it right. It says, why am I dreaming? And forgive me, and maybe you can put it in the chat or the question. I may have read it wrong, but why am I dreaming of failures? What is the cure? I think that's what I read. It might have a misspelling. Why am I dreaming of failures? And I'm not sure. Please forgive me if you can put it in the Q&A. It says deeming of failures. I assume it's dreaming of failures. So hopefully you'll forgive me if I read it wrong. But can you dream of failures? I think we could talk a little bit about our dreams, because that definitely affects I could speak for that. It definitely affects my day, what I go to sleep with, how I face my day.
But it is possible it's not a dream that you would have in a night, but it's like a daydream in the sense, if you are fearing something. Like I know someone who has this fear of examinations. And this fear of examinations was so intense in that person that she will study everything, she'll be prepared, we're all going to think, okay, this is it. And we expect usually that she would actually pass in flying colors. The day before the exam, she falls sick because she's constantly thinking about that exam and not being able to clear the exam. And I think that's what they probably mean. But you see, this is the thing. If you look at life, there isn't a single person in life who has not failed. They've all failed. And sometimes, again, no, like the other one, failures are the biggest teachers of our life. Actually, that today I was expecting Raj would come because he will talk about, he always tells me about these 3 failures in his life and how he overcame them. And I was actually expecting that he would actually share today on those. But these failures teach us. Sometimes you're not going on the right path. There is something else that's even better for you. And it's only this failure that will show you the path. And for Raj, he had gone in the line of commerce. They had put him into the line of commerce when he was going for his undergrad. But when he failed, everyone said, okay, we have to do something about this. And they put him in the line of math and science. And he did so well. Exams that needed to be cleared in 2 years, he cleared in 1. And he was moved to the next grade. And I was, so sometimes these failures are important for us. We should not be afraid again of them. It happens. And when they happen, they are here to teach us that there is something greater that's waiting for you. You just have to shift the direction a little.
That's right.
So if you can take it that way, then there is no fear. But if you think, oh my God, I'm going to fail and what will happen? Nothing will happen. Remember when you started to learn to walk? Do you remember how many times you fell? You know, this is the beautiful thing about babies. As babies, we never thought when I fall, oh, I fell down, I'm not going to try walking again. We never said that. We just got up again and we tried. And here we are the example of success, right? We can all stand up and walk today. But that's how life is. You just stand up again and you try. And you see that one day you will walk faster than anyone else.
That's right. So I just had another thing in the chat, and I have to say to Sister Inez, we have to set up a date that you will come back with Raj, and maybe we'll talk about failure and how failure leads to success. So I'm asking Sister Inez, we're going to have to definitely schedule that. So that's, I agree. Whoever thank you for putting that in the chat. We're correct. Well, we're winding down. If you could do a quick meditation. This took you filled our aprons for a whole hour. So thank you so much. We actually are running late. So can you do a meditation for us and then just stay for our announcements, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us, Sister. It was wonderful. If you could read the chat, absolutely beautiful, and just the accolades you've received. Thank you so much. Definitely have you back with Brother Raj, and you could lead us in a meditation, and we'll have a quick announcement and we'll go off our way. Thank you.
So just take a few moments. Keep your body comfortable, relaxed yet straight. Let the breathing be natural. Withdraw your attention from everything that's going on around you. And just focus within. Start with your breathing. And let your breath take your attention deep within you. See your mind as a holy, sacred space of peace and love. If there are any little clouds or darkness, clear them and fill the space with the light of love. This is my sacred space. The space of peace and love. Know that it's possible in the midst of all the happenings in the world to enter this space. And stay safe and secure. Om Shanti.
A beautiful evening. Thank you once again on behalf of the audience, and please send our blessings and our good wishes to Raj for make him feel better very quickly and have you both back. And everyone, we come back next week. We have a wonderful topic, alone but not lonely. And that's something that there's a big distinction between being alone and being lonely. And our speaker is Sister Rona. She's, you've seen her before, another wonderful speaker. So with that, good night. Thank you, Brother Eric, as well, for your technical expertise, and Sister Inez, who's running the show on Thursday. Thank you so much. And thank you all. And thank you to the Supreme Soul, without whom this could not be possible. So thank you again for all coming. Good night, everyone. Om Shanti.
Good night, everyone. Om Shanti. Hope you had some insight tonight. Thank you, Sister Sandhya. That was wonderful. Michelle, as always, beautiful. See you all next week. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.